Alright, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Prime Shima back on a video, and in this video I am doing my One Piece manga chapter 1018 review. The chapter is called Who's Who, Jimbei versus Who's Who. So we're obviously going to see some of that this chapter. And the cover story says, reader request page 1. As a child trying to read a book of dinosaurs and being interrupted by Ulti, who wants him to play with her and her stuffed dinosaurs, but grown-up version. Okay, nice. So we start off the chapter inside the castle, and we could see like not just specific characters. We see like the fodder just going at it, continue doing what they're doing, and they're talking about Tama and her effect on the battle and what she has done, and they're questioning whether, and some of the people that are still with Kaido are questioning whether if they took her out, would it undo the effects of the weird thing that she's doing to the pleasures and the gifters. So yeah, that's basically what they're doing. They're all running. Nami, Usopp, and Tama, they're running away. We see Daifugo, the warden of the jail, and we see Horselina, the the speed horse girl, and yeah, she just picks them up, and she informs them that they got Komochio because Komochio got separated from them, obviously, in one of the last chapters. So that's basically what they've been doing. They've just been running away, trying to Nami, Usopp, and Horselina, and all of the gifters trying to protect Tama because there's their master. And we see Zeus also. You also see Zeus back at it with all of them, and he asked Nami to be her sidekick. Nami agrees, and he's happy. So now he's like he has a new purpose in the battle. So because he didn't really have a purpose, like he was having a midlife crisis that he can't go to Big Mom, he can't go to Nami, and this and that. So yeah, that's good for Zeus, and we see CP0 again, once again playing their little game in their area, and they're talking about the numbers, and they mentioned that the Animal Kingdom pirates had 30,000, which dropped to 20,000, which means they're losing numbers, which cannot be possibly be good for them. And with 1,000 traders and casualties each, that drops the number even further. So it's 16,000 versus 9,000. So the alliances they're gaining their numbers. They're gaining numbers. So, and white is gonna grow further because on the game white is the Straw Hat Alliance and black is Kaido. So so they mention, which is pretty interesting, that no matter what side wins doesn't matter to us. So but and the only concern is that this one person has to die, and they're talking about how this man has classified intelligence, and when he ran off, it was old, and there is no real threat to the government. So it seems that they have been ordered to kill someone. They say in the chapter, but I'm gonna wait till we get there. But uh, and yeah, they're just talking about how they want to they need to kill him because it's their orders as the government from the higher ups. I'm assuming since there's CP0. And we go to the fourth floor and we see Who's Who and Jimbei going at it. Who's Who does moonwalk. And when Jimbei asks Who's Who if he has a grudge against Luffy, he says Who's Who responds technically he doesn't, because he says that he really has a grudge against Red Haired Shanks for stealing the Gum Gum fruit and getting him into all of that trouble. So he has a grudge against Shanks, and he says that the reason why Luffy is his current target right now is because Luffy was linked to Shanks. He inherited the Gum Gum fruit and the Straw Hat, which were two things that were linked to Shanks at the time. So he's just gonna let out his rage on Luffy. But yeah, that's just what he's here to do. So yeah, we see that his fang pistol, like the fangs that he shoots out, they're flying all over. He has no regards or concern for any of the people on his side. And we also learned that and during the battle, we see Jinbei using his armament haki, his color of armament, and we learn that it's not helpful against his Fang pistol, and it doesn't on the manga panel. It doesn't look like it's an armament. It's just normal fangs, and it's actually not. It's actually penetrating through Jinbei's armament haki, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, who starts talking smack about him being a fishman and being surprised how much he can walk on land and move around and stuff. So, and he also mentions that he has something that he wants to ask Jimbei. He goes into Iron Body, which we remember is a cipher pull technique, and he does shave. He goes at Jimbei with a Fang Flash, and it looks like he has armament haki on the fangs when he clashes with him, and Jimbei has his arms in the cross with armament haki blocking the attack as it directly crashes into him. And Jimbei comes in clutch. He like wraps his arm around his long walrus looking fangs, and he uses fishman jujitsu, and he flips him over with a low tide shoulder throw. So he flips him on his back, and now who's in pain. Jinbei does a move called water shot, where he shoots a bunch of like balls of water directly at Who's Who. And Who's Who, he uses shave, and Soru. He uses that and he escapes. He mentions that he wanted to ask something to Jinbei about a story that he heard in jail. Because remember, he was in jail because of the mistake that he made or for losing the gum gum fruit. And apparently he has some important knowledge. So I'm curious to see what that is. And he wants to ask Jinbei about a story that he heard in jail from a guard, and the that the other prisoners used to hear, listen. And he says apparently there was a figure that slaves would pray to in the long distant past, a legendary warrior they believed would one day freedom, and his name was the sun god Nika. And he's questioning Jinbei if they existed, if it was really true, because Who's Who, he actually believed it for a second in prison, that there was some sort of myth or legend called the sun god Nika to free him out of prison, and if this myth was really was really real. And he wanted to ask Jinbei about it. So Jinbei asks him why Who's Who will question him on something like that, and the reasoning for Who's Who's questioning is because he led the Sun Pirates, and since he's a fishman, and the Sun Pirates were a group of fishmen, they were once prisoners and slaves. So he thinks that they would know about that kind of stuff, like the Sun God. So that's what Who's curious about. He's asking Jinbei, and so and after this, they're still fighting as they're saying everything that they're saying. They're still fighting. Who's Who? He uses finger pistol, and he does a move called spots. He just tries to barrage Jinbei with a bunch of finger pistols, and we see the fodder just cheering him on, and that's what we see. So apparently, the finger pistols cannot penetrate through his Jinbei's armament haki. And Who's Who also mentioned that the guard that told him about the sun god Nika disappeared days later. So it might have been something confidential that is very secretive, and that shouldn't be let out, like known to the prisoners. So it has to have something behind it if the guard disappeared days later. Who's Who, in all of that barraging, one of his fingers breaks. So and it's like bent to the side, so he's in pain. Uh, Jinbei grabs him by the hand and uses fishman karate shark grip. He grips his hand, and he basically he like kind of swishes him, or like scratches him. I don't know what he does. I think he moves his arm. He's like punches him against the torso, the chest area, and who's hit. The fodder are worried for him, concerned, and so Who's Who, he says that he's gonna puncture Jinbei. Fang pistol again. He tries to throw him with the fangs, Jimbei uses Fishman Karate, a movie called Fishman Karate's Secret Art. And who's noticed? Like he says it himself that Jimbei, okay, he's on it now. I got him riled up. He's into it. He he wants to. He's doing this. So he deals him with a clean punch to the nose, directly to the face, called Demon Brick Fist. And he tells Who's Who, be ready what you're stepping into first before you talk about Fishman history. Kind of letting him know, like, know your stuff before you talk about this. Basically, it was what Jimbei said, and that's the end of the chapter. Next chapter is July 18th, so there will be a 2 week break. This chapter is really good. It really aligned with the title said, which makes sense because it was called Jimbei versus Who's Who. We we got some good information about Who's Who and who he is, and not even just about Who's Who. Like everything that goes down is going down on Onigashima right now, and this was very action oriented. Uh, like I wasn't really reading too much dialogue about what exactly they were saying. I was just reading the moves and the attacks that they were throwing at each other. Yeah, it was a very good chapter. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully, since it's a break, we're gonna get a chapter just as good as this one next chapter, or even better the next time we see from One Piece again. But yeah, that's gonna end the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Also, happy 4th of July. Enjoy your 4th of July. Light up fireworks. And see you in the next one. Peace.